Hello and welcome to another episode of the Super Soul Model series. I'm your host, James Granstrom. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today I've got a great show for you today because I'm going to talk about change. Change is happening all around us. Currently, as you know, we're being isolated, we're being grounded. I'm in Spain at the moment, so it means that I'm probably a week more of grounding and of self-isolation than if you were in the US or in the UK or something like that. But that doesn't mean that change isn't happening. Change is massively happening. And I found myself almost settling into a routine now of this self-isolation. It's amazing like how as human beings that we have this propensity to adjust when, like after about 2-3 weeks. So this is almost like 21 days of adjusting, and you just start to just go, okay, this is what's happening. I begin to accept. But that doesn't mean that there isn't still moments of frustration, boredom, and things like that sort of still occurring. I still get moments in the day where I'm like, oh God, yeah, I'd like to go out, or I'd like to go to the beach, or I'd like to go for a walk. Like if you're in the UK, at least you can go for a walk. In Spain, you can't do anything like that. You've got to stay in the house. But I'm blessed to have a beautiful property here, so I'm at least able to move around, which is fantastic. But it still doesn't stop that sort of tenet of your being, which is freedom. As Abraham Hicks say, you have 3 tenets to your being, which is freedom, growth, and joy, and you want to be expressing those at all times. And I'm very much a freedom seeker, and I very much like to use my mind to create beautiful scenarios and use my imagination and expand my ability to create and reach other people, and that's fantastic. So I'm definitely tapping into those. But wherever you are, just remember that change is always happening around you, and no matter what the circumstances are, you're always able to adjust. You're always able to, as human beings, we're always able to sort of get through, and times pass, things always eventually work out in the long run. Sometimes it's like people say time is a healer, and we will look back on these days maybe in a year or even 2 and go, God, I remember that time when I was at home for like 3 months or whatever it was, and yes, I was driving myself mad, but I was able to do that. Times were tough, but I still managed to pull through. Or you could look at it on another note of saying, oh, when I look back on that sort of time, I was pretty creative during that time. I did some really good things. I'm proud of myself that I maybe tried a few new things that I didn't normally do, and I learned some information I haven't normally learned, and I managed to connect with my family that I don't normally connect with on that sort of level, or all of these things. Change is always happening around us, and we as human beings, at least in my personal experience, have always sort of like found change to be annoying. And the reason why we don't like change so much is because we get comfortable, and change is a part of life, like change of the seasons. The seasons are always changing. The sky is always changing. It's either going to be raining or sunny or cloudy or sleety or snow. There's always something always happening. And I think that the sooner we make peace with the ability to go with the flow of change, whether we like it or not, the sooner we're going to enter a state of mind where we are more relaxed, more tranquil, and stop pushing against the things that we can't control in our life. So yeah, a little while ago, a friend and I had a conversation, and I remember it was very touching because we mentioned about the serenity prayer, and it's this thing about acceptance, because change is always happening, and whether we like it or not, it's happening. And the serenity prayer goes like this. It goes, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And as Eckhart Tolle would say, it was like, call it the power of acceptance, which is making peace with the now, or making peace with the isness of now. What does that actually mean? It just means making peace with whatever you have, wherever you are, making peace with the moment that is. And if you're finding frustration and boredom setting in now, in your 3rd week, or wherever you are in this in your life, whether you're watching this video after the coronavirus has already kicked in and it's passed away and it's moved on, just remember this: you can make peace with now anytime you like. You might not like what's going on, but you can make peace with it. You can stop pushing against it. And when you stop pushing against the current of the now moment, then you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more energy to move forwards with. And that energy can be used to power up some creativity. It can be used to power up some good ideas. It can be used for all sorts of things. Because the more energy that you have, the better you're going to feel. And the more energy that we have in resistance, pushing against the things we don't like, complaining about the things that are going wrong, and all sorts of things, you'll know subtly the difference. The difference is between, number one, feeling good, and number two, not feeling good. And you want to feel good, because feeling good is the name of the game. I mean, our human body is basically a vehicle of energy, and the more energy that we have, when we go, happens from the things like the food that you have, the thoughts that you think, whether they're uplifting or not, and your environment as best you possibly can. All the things that help you feel better. And number one, accepting the things you cannot change and making peace with wherever you are right now. That's going to give you a lot more energy. It's going to give you a lot more freedom, because there are three things to your tenet of your being: freedom, growth, and joy. So are you using this time of change? I believe the world is kind of being reset right now. The natural world is being reset. Wonderful things are happening on the planet. Things are healing. Things are growing. And we're giving the chance for the planet to reset, change, grow, rebuild itself, reset, feel better. I believe that the planet's kind of like been asking for its time to have like a chance to mend itself again and rejuvenate. And that's very much like us, So this is all, when we're being kept at home, being grounded in the elements, that would be called being earth. It's just giving us a chance to root ourselves again, and root ourselves in the knowledge that something greater is at hand here. There are all sorts of conspiracies and things like that, but what I like to focus is on what you can focus on, because remember, whatever you focus on, you get more of. So if you're focusing on feeling good, if you're focusing on looking for things to improve yourself, if you're looking for things in ways to create love and joy in your life and feel better, that's what you're going to get more of. And if you're focusing on the negative, if you're focusing on news, if you're focusing on things that don't feel good, well, you're going to get more of those. So making peace with the moment and accepting change as it happens is sometimes an extremely difficult thing as a human being. When someone close to you passes away, that's really tough. No one likes that, and that's part of life. It's change. And you've just got to learn how to find this awareness inside of you that just knows that change will always happen, and you may not like it, but you can learn to find peace and learn to feel acceptance through change. I mean, a grass doesn't try to grow, it just grows. And the simplicity of that is basically like change is always happening. Whether we like it or not, it's always going to happen. And there's a part of us, I believe, that's like ego driven, which means if I can control my environment as best I possibly can, then I'm safe. And the ego wants to make you safe. And the ego is a good thing. Some people say it's a really bad thing, but it's trying to protect you. It's trying to look after you. But when you're dealing with Mother Nature and you're dealing with life, there's a spiritual principle, which means change is always happening, whether you like it or not. And if you can make peace with it, then you'll go with the flow. And as you go with the flow, the river and the current of life will take you downstream to some place you want to go with less resistance, rather than you constantly battling upstream to try and control what you can't control, which inevitably will mean that you'll be pushed downstream, probably abruptly. And remember, when you fight against the current of life will always win. So if you can make peace with it, if you can, as my friend has on it as a tattoo, or what Bruce Lee says, be like water. If you can go with the flow in the current of change, regardless of what's happening, whether you like it or not, just allow it to take you, and it will take you to a place and will safely drop you at the bottom downstream, safe and sound. Now, it doesn't feel like that when it's happening. I'm telling you, it doesn't feel, but let it take you. There's a couple of tips that I want to share with you that allow change to be smooth and easy for you when it occurs, like it is right now. And one of the things that I'd like to share with you is your ability to think a good feeling thought. And that good feeling thought, if you carry that in your back pocket wherever you go, you'll always land out smelling your roses. Things will come together for you. And it's this: things are always working out for you. And if you say that to yourself, things are always working out for me. And as if you're looking for evidence of things working out for you, even when it seems like nothing is working out for you, guarantee you things are going to work out for you, because you are what you think, and you are what you repeatedly think. So if you're repeatedly thinking good feeling thoughts, then that's going to be your experience, because that's basically what is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what you think and what you feel, you become. And what you think about regularly becomes a belief. So, if you're thinking to yourself, things are always working out for me, then that's going to be your experience. Like, I've got so many things of things working out for me. I mean, it happens every day. Like, I always get a parking space wherever I want. I find deals on, getting flights and things like that really easily. I bought a brilliant, beautiful TV. It was like 1,500 quid, 4K TV, top of the range. This was like a few years ago, and I managed to get a deal for it for like £333. And when I saw 333, I'm like, hang on a minute, this is amazing. I wrote down on my intention as I was coming out to Spain, I want to get a window seat. I get a window seat. That was where I was automatically put. Does that happen all the time? No, but it happens a lot of the time. And when I come out of the plane, when I'm traveling, my bag comes out really quickly. Things are always working out for me. I'm just saying, these are really small little things that happen, but they're meaningful to you. And so once again, these words are empty without you having your experience. So have the experience. Tell yourself regularly that things are working out for you. Everything is working out for you. And then you'll eventually start to see that life is working out for you, and you'll notice it in your own way. And that's really, really helpful, especially when there's always change. Life is always going to bring you things that maybe you don't like, but how do you know it's not for your highest good? Like, even being grounded at the moment and self-isolated, is there a nugget or a silver lining in this experience? I guarantee you there is, but you have to look for it. Because remember, things are always working out for you. How do you know this time isn't a time for deep reflection? How do you know that this time isn't a time for you to learn something new? How do you know that this time isn't a time for you to connect with people that you love that you don't normally connect with in this way? How do you know that it's not a time for you to get super organised? How do you know it's not a time? There's so many ways you can look at it, but that is really up to you to fine tune. Now, there's another thing that I'd like you to think about when you're starting to have change, and maybe you're going through a tough period and, things aren't necessarily seem to be going your way. I call it the scenic route. When things don't seem to be going your way, maybe life is taking you on a long scenic route to where you really need to go, because life looks at you from a bird's eye perspective, whereas we only look like in the Pac-Man going around the corner on the 2D level trying to figure out our way. But the bird's eye view, life is always looking over you, and it can see exactly where you need to go. Oh, James, you are here and you need to get there. I understand. Right, okay, I'll find you the shortest path. But maybe you need to do this, and learn this, and this, and then you'll find your way there. But from our limited perspective, we can't always see the route. And so in change, which is inevitable, maybe it takes you on a long scenic path, and things happen and you're like, God, I don't like what's happening. But you have to remember that things are always working out for you. And if you can make peace with change, you'll always come out smelling of roses. Now, otherwise, you can just fight the resistance of it and it won't feel good. But remember, just remind yourself often that things are always working out for you, because you need to feed the mind beautiful, positive, uplifting thoughts. Because without it, you've just got this reactive person constantly driving like that, you know, erratically driving your mind, which drives your body, which drives your emotions, and then you become a reactor to life, and that's not a fun place to be. But this is an exercise that I thought would be quite good in change. I'd like you to imagine that you are speaking to your future self who's 5 years ahead. And let's just say, you know, that it's looking back on this time, and this future self of yours who is your own hero, and I want you to have a conversation with that person and just imagine what that future self of you is saying, and like how you handled yourself during this period of time. Did you handle yourself cool, calm and collected? Were you creative with your time? Did you use your time wisely? Because, you know, I want you to imagine that you're using this time to cultivate the best possible life experience you can, because you might not have another time like this. There might not ever be another time in our life exactly like this. So can you make the best use of your time and have that chat? Just imagine a dialogue with your future self who's 5 years ahead. Oh, James, I'm pleased you used this time wisely. I'm pleased you created that piece of music. I'm pleased you did some of these videos. I'm pleased you shared your heart and soul and spread some positivity with other people. I think it's time that you shared that. You've acquired a lot of experience and you've acquired a lot of wisdom, and I think other people will be uplifted by it. And you've got some funny stories too. And maybe, just maybe, that might inspire someone to do something for themselves. And maybe that there's someone here who's feeling like really low, but these words are uplifting to them. So well done for you for doing this. Or imagine that you're a dancer and, you know, you teach dancing, but you've been so scared to like share your dance videos with people. I'm so pleased that you spoke to your future self, that you're sharing these dance videos with people. However small, you're sharing that part of yourself, you're opening up. You know, just imagine that dialogue, whatever it is for you, just have that small conversation with yourself, and then start to do what it is that you feel your future self would be proud of, because you'll never be that future self unless you start doing the little things today. And that's the most important thing. Don't be afraid to just step up, open up. You know, we're all too scared to share ourselves with the world, because remember, the ego just wants to keep us safe and sound and controlled and make sure that we're not judged or not appreciated by one another. Of course we all want to be appreciated, of course we all want to be loved, but not everyone's going to like your story, but that's okay. And not everyone's going to, there's always someone who will love what it is that you're doing or whatever it is that you're sharing. And remember, the current of change is always happening. So just make the best use of your time you possibly can right now, and allow the current of this particular coronavirus to just take us downstream and go with the flow of it. Whatever it is you're going on, you're stuck at home, okay, maybe you can learn something. You know, we've talked about this, but there's definitely something in here for you with a silver lining. You just have to find it and have that chat with your future self. How would you like to be in 5 years' time? And what would that future self of yours be doing right now? And in this moment in time, could you be stepping in some way, shape or form in those directions? However minimal, however, you know, obscure that those steps are, just step in that right direction. And you'll feel happier, because you always feel happier when there's momentum, and you always feel upset when you're static. So when people feel stuck, like I'm at home, I'm stuck, I can't get anywhere, maybe you can think some better feeling thoughts. Maybe you can try and learn something. Maybe you can move in some positive direction. Maybe you can make a nice phone call to somebody. Maybe you can, you know, there's loads of things you can do. Get creative. Remember, change will always happen whether you like it or not, and sometimes life will bring you things that you don't like. And as that old adage says, when life brings you lemon, try and make lemonade. You know, it's a very simple old philosophy, and but that's definitely the case. And you know what? I've got a whole tree of lemons outside, so I'm going to try and make as much lemonade as I possibly can, proverbially. So, you know, just make the best use of your time and be proud of the person that you are in 5 years' time, to have that little dialogue. I know it sounds almost ridiculous, but you know that there's some beautiful philosophy in there, And I'm a big fan of philosophy, and I'm a big fan of trying to tap in to this beautiful aspect of yourself that's natural and spiritual. For me, I've managed to just tap into it so easily through like meditating regularly and spending a lot of time in nature and pondering deeper questions in life. And if you're at home and you're thinking, God, I don't know what you're talking about, just ask some simple questions, which is, who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? Is there anything more going on than meets the eye here? How can I better my life? How can I improve my life from wherever I am? Simple questions. And maybe you won't be able to answer the questions initially, but if you keep asking them, eventually the answers will come, and they will come in profound and beautiful ways. That's what happened to me. That's what set me up on the spiritual path. I came in, I started modeling like 20 years ago, and I did not expect modeling to take me on this journey of like health, well-being and spirituality at all. It was an absolute side turn. It was a scenic route to what I was doing, which was being on camera, doing commercials, doing fashion shoots, doing runways, doing magazines. This is completely different to what I thought I was learning. But it's so funny, I can look back and all the dots that I've learned, and it was not necessarily who I was when I'm on set, or I'm on the video, or I'm in the commercial. It's all that downtime that I had, and what I was learning and filling myself up with, and having life experience in between the work, in between the shoots. And that's what's been really fascinating for me. And maybe, just maybe, this time that you're having to have this grounded period, this isolated period, this time of regrowth and renewal, you're feeding yourself knowledge, you're feeding yourself information that maybe you can take out into the world once this is all passed. And, if you're watching this video a year or two later after it's filmed, just think about that. Maybe you're at a period in your life that you've got a chance to renew and feed yourself some new information, because this information is valid, it's timeless. And spiritual insights and spiritual information always remain the same. Change is always happening, whether you like it or not. But just go with the flow of change and make peace with change. And remember that serenity prayer. And if you don't like the word God at the beginning, just change it to life. Change it to something simple. But there's a profound message. Accept the things that you cannot change, and change the things that you can. Really simple. Or as Eckhart Tolle is saying, make peace with the now. And as I would say, try and make the best of wherever you're at, and you'll prepare yourself for the next part, which will be even better. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope there's been some really insightful information there for you in change, and some positive things and practices that maybe you can take out of it, which is, really great. Like, things are always working out for you. Remember that. That's your mental trick. Put that in your back pocket wherever you go. Tell yourself that regularly. And, when the next time something happens for you, maybe you get like a nice deal, or you get a free cup of coffee the next time you go out, just tell yourself, see, things are always working out for me. And that's a lovely way. You get parking space exactly where you want. See, things are always working out for me. And that really helps. That will help you feel better, or help you feel lighter, help you feel, like that things are working out for you. And remember, change is going to happen whether you like it or not. And sometimes it may bring things you don't like. But either way, things are working out for you, and life will be all right in the end. All right, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Please subscribe and share with as many people as possible. I really appreciate you all. I love you all. Spread the love, spread the joy. And as always, I wish you green lights all the way.